Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So I'm gonna paint another canvas painting, and let's see what materials I'm gonna be using. So I have this 8 by 10 size of it's a panel canvas. So yeah, something like this. You can also paint if you like to. You can also paint with me, and you can also paint on a paper, on a watercolor paper, or maybe a cardboard. I don't know. I do that sometime with my niece and nephew, so yeah. Okay, and I'm using this cup of water to clean my brushes, and I have this brushes that I'm gonna be using. Now you don't have to use the perfect same brush that I'm using here. You can definitely use whatever you have available, but let's see. This one is number 0, this one is a flat brush, and this one is number 6, and this one is this kind of a brush, and it's 1/4. Okay, so now let's see. These are the color we're gonna be using today. So I'm using acrylic paint today. If you are painting on watercolor paper, you can, if you want to, you can use a watercolor paint, of course, but I also use acrylic paint on watercolor paper, on a thicker watercolor paper. I am talking about like super thick, not too thin paper. Okay, so now I'm using this Craft Smart paints. You can use whatever again you have available. Now let's see what colors I'm gonna be using. So I am gonna be using a whole bunch of colors, and as you can see, I'm not gonna be using too much, so that's why I just put tiny bit of paint there. Okay, so it's just a plain black, white, orange, green, red, yellow, and brown. If I use any other color, I will show you later, but these are the only color I am planning to use. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this big brush, big flat brush, and before I take any paint, I'm just gonna wet my bristles here in water. Okay, wipe it on the edges. So every time you clean your brush, the best way to clean your brush is go all the way down and then move your brush. Think of like you are painting on the bottom of your cup, and it will be so much easier to clean your brush, because sometimes acrylic paints are very hard to clean. Okay, so make sure you also grab a paper towel so that you don't have too much of water on your brush. Okay, so now let's start mixing colors. So I'm gonna be using orange, yellow, and tiny bit of brown to create kind of a cream color. So let's do that. If you already have those in your kit of this paint, you can also use that, but I don't have it, so I'm gonna make it. I think not everybody have that, so I'm just gonna show you how to make it, but it's very easy. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow. I'm just gonna put on side of my plate. You can also use a paper plate or maybe a cardboard to put on your paint, to put your paint on it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of orange and tiny brown, not too much. Okay, I'm also gonna take some white, not some white, too much white, I mean whole lots of white here. Okay, and then I'm gonna mix all together in here. Do you see how yellow it is? I think I took too much yellow, so I'm gonna grab a little bit more white here. So this is completely on you, how dark, how light you want to create. I am making it super light here, so this is the color I'm gonna be using. It's more like a little cream color. So yeah. Okay, so let's start painting. It's the fun part, right? So as we go, I recommend you to create these colors, because every time you create this color, it's gonna be a slightly little different shade, and that's gonna make your painting more unique than having just one color on your painting, right? So I always say this is, as you go, make these colors, or doesn't matter what color it is. So now I'm gonna start painting on my canvas here. So I'm just gonna apply vertical lines. So I'm just gonna go up and down. So okay, so I'm just gonna go up and down like that. If you like to use a bigger brush, if you are painting on a bigger surface, bigger canvas, or a bigger paper, you can use a bigger brush than what I'm using. But I have a very small canvas, it's 8 by 10 size, so I can use this brush. Alright, so what I like to do is take a little bit of water in my brush. It will help me to spread my paint so much easier. So what I like to do is just dip it in the water like that. Okay, and then take some paint. If you're painting on watercolor paper, try not to take too much of water. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go up and down like that. And it's okay if you miss some of the spot right now. Don't worry about that. That just apply everywhere, just very randomly like that. Cover our whole canvas. Alright, so here I'm all done. Now, as you can see, I still have some of the white spots left. That's okay. I'm gonna apply some white here now. So I'm not cleaning my brush here. We don't really have to. It's okay if you have too much of paint already, like still on your brush. Just brush it out on your canvas like that, wherever you don't have any paint. Just apply those colors on your canvas. Okay, so now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of white here, and I'm just gonna randomly add this kind of lines, like up and down, like you can go up and down too, just again very randomly. Okay, and after you apply your lines, just go back on those lines one more time. Just go up and down, brush it out, and blend it all together. The more you go, it's gonna blend more, so don't be scared to go as many times as you want to on top of these colors. If you like to use any other colors here, you can also definitely use any other color if you want to. I'm just gonna keep it very simple, just 2 colors here, cream and white. Alright, so here I'm all done. Now I'm gonna move on to my next part, which is adding a nice big tree. So for that, we have to clean our brush. So I'm gonna add like a nice tree trunk first. So I'm gonna add mine on the left side. Make sure you clean your brush nicely here. Okay. So sometimes what I feel like after I'm done applying these colors on a background, I think this side is much better. So I'm gonna add, because I really like this kind of a look on this area, so I'm gonna add my tree trunk right here. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna be using black paint. Now, if you want to let your background dry first, you can definitely do that. But before I add my trunk, I really want to add a little bit of more white in the center here, and you'll know the reason later. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of white here, and just very randomly in the center area right here, I'm adding a bit of white. Okay, I think this is good. For me, it's very hard to stop sometimes. So here I'm done. Now I'm gonna add my tree trunk here. But before that, let's clean our brush again. So for this tree trunk, if you like to use maybe different color, you can also do that, like maybe brown, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it very simple. I'm gonna use plain black here. Okay, so I'm just gonna I'm still using my same big brush. If you want to use a different brush, go for it. You can also use different brush. Okay, so now I'm gonna make my tree trunk not too thick. So I'm gonna start with the very thin line first. And then if I feel like I want to make it more bigger, I can do that later, right? So let's start leaving just maybe a couple inches from the canvas right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring this line. As you can see, I'm using tip of my brush this way, not this way, this way. Okay, so I hope you can see this. Yes. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm just gonna start from here and then bring this paint down like that. As you can see, it's not a straight line. We don't need to add any straight line here. That's okay. All right, and then I'm just gonna cover everything, go up and down like that. So I really like to do this part when my background is still wet, so that my black is not gonna be too black and you're gonna get like slightly grayish color, and that is what I'm going for. So I really like to do this part when I have my background still wet. So as you can see, it's not black, it's kind of a gray. Okay, let's fill everything inside. And I'm just gonna do it very faster here. You can take your time, to be honest. This painting is super quick. That's why I thought it's gonna be so much easy and it's gonna be so much fun if you want to paint with somebody. Or maybe alone. Or maybe with me. I don't know. Okay, so let's fill everything. Okay, here I'm all done. Now I'm gonna add a nice big branch. So whenever you feel like I'm going too fast, just pause the video and just start again whenever you are done with this part. Okay, so now you can use again any small brush if you like to. I like to use my flat brush because it's so much easy to use your flat brush for the branches part, because we're not gonna be making two small branches here. So this is gonna be so much easier. Okay, so what I like to do, as you can see, I have like big big glob of black paint on my brush. You can clean your brush if you like to. I just like to use the side of my plate like that, clean that extra paint. Okay, and then just take that little paint again, and then I'm gonna add like two big branches. Okay, so let's start with the one that where our bird's gonna sit. So let's say my bird's gonna go right here. So I'm gonna add a nice big branch right here. Okay, so I'm gonna start from here, and I'm just gonna use a nice take a line here. I'm gonna make a nice take a line here. I'm sorry, I can't talk when I paint. So as you can see, I made this area more thicker. So what I did is started just adding a little pressure when I start, and as I go in, I started adding like more pressure. So let me show you one more time. I'm gonna go a little slower this time, okay? So let's say maybe I'm gonna start here, just adding a little pressure. I'm just touching my canvas. As I'm going in, I'm adding more and more pressure, and my line become thicker. So this line is a little wiggly because I go very slow. So that's why I like to go a little faster. Don't think a lot, just go a little quicker, and it's gonna do its magic. Okay, I'm gonna smooth out this area a little bit here because I don't want my branches to look that way. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some smaller branches on my branches. So for that, I'm gonna use a different brush, and for that I'm gonna be using my smallest brush, number 01. So leave your brush in your water cup, or I always like to clean it. Alright, so now I'm gonna grab my smallest brush. Make sure you wet your bristles a little bit here before you take any paint. Okay, and then I'm just gonna grab my black paint on my brush like that. Okay, now you can apply your branches wherever you have, to be honest, wherever you have space. Leave some space for your bird right here. So I'm not gonna add any branches on this area. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna add a nice one big branch coming down this way. So I'm starting from inside this time, and then I'm gonna come out. So let's say so for this part we have to do it a little opposite that we did than we did with our bigger branch. Remember we started applying lighter pressure and then we applied more pressure. We're gonna apply more pressure first and then go down and leave your brush and apply very less pressure. Okay, so I'm gonna start from here and coming down like that. You can make your line nice and big curvy if you like. I really want to make this one a bit more longer. I recommend to just go maybe 1 or 2 times on your branch. Otherwise, if you go too many times, it's gonna be a little bit thicker. But this is completely up to you, however you think you want to do it. Okay, so I really want to make this branch a little bit more thinner on this area, so I'm just gonna use my brush. And then I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, and then maybe I'm gonna add one more. So I don't know if I show you this part in my other video or not, but what I like to do when I get this kind of a fuzzy line, that means I don't have too much of water on my brush. So let's do a little magic. Okay, so what I like to do is take a drop of water, put it on side of your plate, maybe 2 or 3 drops of water. This is good enough. And then I'm just gonna take tiny bit of black paint. Okay, and then I'm gonna mix it all together. So this is nice and watery paint, and this is gonna help us to get that nice sharp line without getting this kind of fuzzy line, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna use this paint, and so do you see the magic? So whenever you get that kind of fuzzier line, just use that little thinner paint. Okay, and then I'm just gonna keep adding more branches. So maybe just gonna add one more right here. So just wherever you want to add your branch, you can just start adding your branches. I'm just gonna add some of them down here. You can also add branches on your branches. So I have some space right here, so I'm just gonna add like small one here. And don't worry about making your branches too thin, because we're gonna add some leaves here, some colorful leaves. Okay, so now it's a fun time. Now we're gonna add a nice big birds. So let me show you how I'm gonna add my birds on a piece of paper here first. Okay, so I have this piece of paper. This is like a thin watercolor paper. Okay, so it's a very super simple shape. Let me just use my small brush and thin paint here. Okay, so what I like to do to add this kind of birds is just add a nice small circle for the head area. Okay, and that's gonna look something like this. Fill it in. Okay, and for the body area, you can add a shape of like a leaf. So something like this. You can add like one line in the center. See, it's a leaf. So okay, and then fill it in again. And if you like to add tail, just start from here and then bring the paint down on angle. And I always like to do like 2 of them, so might look a little weird, but just make this area more like that. Okay, and I'm gonna add one more next to that. Those are nice cute lovebirds. Okay, so I'm gonna add one more again. Nice big circle for the head, and then think of like it's a leaf. Fill it in, and then add 2 lines for the tails. And don't forget to add small tiny beak, just a small tiny little triangle. Alright, so here we are done. So I'm gonna do the same thing on my canvas. Now if you like to practice a little bit on a piece of paper, you can do that. If you like to maybe practice a couple more times, go for it. Alright, but like I said, it's okay. Everything is not perfect in nature, right? So we don't need to make everything is perfect here. Alright, so for this part, I like to use a little thinner paint just for the outline part. When I'm filling inside, I can use just a plain paint. Okay, so I'm gonna use my thin paint here, and think of like how big, how small you want to add your birds. I really want to add like a nice big heart right here, so I'm gonna leave a little space between my heart and my bird. So maybe my bird's gonna be this big, maybe half finger size big. Okay, so let's start adding a nice big circle. So I'm gonna add like 2 birds. So that is my big circle. Okay, and then nice big body, leaf, maybe you wanna say. Do you see how I'm grabbing some white because my background is still wet, but that's okay. Touch the branch. Okay, I'm gonna add one more, and it's gonna be a small one, small bird. So I'm gonna add 1 circle right here. It's okay, you can touch your bird with each other. I mean, you can touch both of the bird with each other. Okay, and here we are done adding our bird. So let's start taking just a plain paint and fill everything inside. Alright, so here we are done adding our birds. Now I'm gonna add the tail. So remember, I'm gonna add like a line on angle. So this is gonna come and go, my branch is gonna go behind, and it's gonna go right here. Okay, I'm gonna add like 2 of them. Okay, I just had my tail so big, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna add 1 more line here, 1 more here. Now I know you cannot see that, so let me add a little bit of white now. So let's clean our brush. So I'm just gonna clean my brush here first, and I really want to add like a little highlight using my white paint. Okay, so I'm gonna add like 1 line here, 1 line here, and now you can see the tail. Okay, 1 line here, 1 line here. All right, okay, I'm gonna add a bit of more white right here. I'm just using my paint here, not the thin paint. Okay, so both birds are looking right here. So I'm gonna add this bird beak facing that way. Okay, and this bird facing here, right? So this is gonna go layer on angle like that. All right, so here we are done, and now I'm gonna add some white. So for that, let's clean our brush. So there are many ways you can do this. I'm gonna show you a very easy way. You can use any of this brush if you like. Okay, and I'm gonna use this flat brush because it's easier. Okay, so for this part, make sure you don't have any water in your brush. So clean it. Ooh, I still have some blackening. So I clean my brush. Make sure you don't have any water. Make sure your brush is nice and dry. Don't be so harsh on your brush like me. Okay, so I have a nice dry brush. Okay, so now I'm gonna take some white paint. Again, you can do it however you think you want to do it. I like to flip my canvas, turn my canvas like this because I'm right-handed and it's easy to go this way. Okay, now I'm gonna grab some white paint, and after I grab my paint, I just like to clean it on side of my plate like that, just so that I don't have too much of paint on my brush. And it's okay if some of your area, some of the black on your tree trunk, it's still wet, that's okay. Okay, so now what I like to do is I'm gonna start from here and bring my paint on. Right, so I'm just gonna go one time. You don't have to go too many times. Okay, so something like this, I'm just gonna swipe it. Wherever you think your paint is too bad, don't go on that area. We can do that at the end. Okay, so here I'm just gonna add that. So I'm gonna do it all the way down. Same thing. Oops, I think I have too much paint, right? Make sure after you take paint, just clean it on the side of your plate like that, just so that we don't end up with big bulk of paint on your canvas. So wherever I'm not going, that area is still wet. And on those areas, I'm just gonna take some more white and just go 1 or 2 times. If I go too many times, your paints are gonna blend and you're not gonna get this kind of a look. Okay, I like that. I'm also gonna do the same thing on this side. Okay, so starting from the edge. So I was talking about something like this. If you go too many times, your paints are gonna blend, and I'm not trying to do that here. Don't have any white there. And I think I'm happy with this. I think maybe I'm gonna add a little bit of more white on some area, not everywhere. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of paint here, and I think I'm gonna flip my canvas back again. This way, I think, turn my canvas this way. Okay, and then I take some paint. I'm not cleaning this time, and then I'm just gonna add one line, and that's it. I'm not gonna touch it. Maybe one line here. Again, I'm not gonna touch it after I add one line. Maybe one line here and one more here. Okay, just in the center here. That's it. Okay, same thing on this area. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. This is all I'm gonna do. Alright, so now I'm also gonna do the same thing on my branches. So I mostly am gonna go on the branches where I can see a nice thicker branch. I don't have to worry about these smaller branches a lot. Okay, so here I'm gonna take a little bit of paint. Again, make sure after you take your paint, just clean it on side of your plate. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start adding this from maybe here, coming down. See, I have a lot of paint, so I have to clean it. Okay, don't forget the middle of your birds here. Birds right here. Okay, I have a lot of black on my brush. Clean your brush. Make sure you dry your brush. Again, don't be so harsh on your brush like I am. I'm so very bad with my brush always. I don't know why. I shouldn't be. Okay, so here I'm all done cleaning, drying. Now I'm gonna take some paint. Remember I said don't worry about making your branches like too thinner, because we're gonna do this part which is adding this white, and that's not gonna make your branches look too thin, right? So we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna add also a little bit of white on these branches, because I feel like it's looking slightly a little different. So not everywhere, to be honest, just maybe on some of the area like that, just a little dot, this kind of a little dot. Make sure your brush is nice and dry. If you have some water, you're gonna get like a sharp line, and you're not gonna get these kind of little dots that I'm getting here. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing here. Okay, this is all I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna work on adding a nice big heart. Okay, this is optional. You don't have to do this. You can if you would like to. So for that, I'm gonna use this brush here. I love using this brush for this kind of stuff. Okay, so make sure you wet your bristles first in your water. Okay, clean that extra water. And now I'm gonna take some white paint. So you can also use different color if you want to. I'm just gonna use white here. And I'm gonna add like a nice big heart on my tree. So you can add anywhere on your tree if you like to. I'm just gonna add mine in the center here, or maybe down here, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I'm gonna add like right here. Okay, so you know how the heart shape is, right? If you like to practice on your on a paper or something, go for it. Alright, so I have a nice big heart here. Now I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna work on other areas. So I'm gonna leave my brush in the water, or you can clean it. I'm gonna grab my small brush. So the next part, if you like to use a Sharpie, you can also do that. Okay, so I'm gonna use a Sharpie on some area, and then I'm gonna show you how I use my brush. So let's say I'm gonna grab my Sharpie here. So here I have a Sharpie. Make sure wherever you apply your Sharpie, wherever you use it, that area is nice and dry. Otherwise your Sharpie will not work. Okay, so my plan is to add a nice big bow. Let me make some area here, make some space. Okay, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I have a branch right here, okay, right there. And I'm gonna add a nice big bow like that, and then some ribbons like that on the side, and then a line, a straight line. Doesn't have to be too straight, remember. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a nice big, not too big, small one, small heart like that. I know it's a very rough drawing, but I hope I do it better on a canvas. So let's see. Okay, so let's use a Sharpie first, and then we can use brush. All right, so first I'm gonna make a heart and a line first, and then I'm gonna add those bow and the ribbon I'm talking about. Okay, so first let me turn my canvas maybe this way. Okay, because I always like to put this palm right here on my table, and then I can draw. So okay, so let's see. I'm gonna add a line coming down this way. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a nice small heart. It's not too nice, but it's not too bad. Okay, so now I think I'm just gonna use my Sharpie because I am very comfortable using my Sharpie here. Okay, so but if you like to use a brush, go for it. Okay, so if you are using a brush, again, I recommend you to use, okay, let me show you. It's gonna be easier, right? So I like to use my thin brush. I mean thin small brush and thin paint. So remember how I made thin paint last time? I'm gonna do the same thing. A drop of water and tiny bit of paint here. Mix it all together, and that's what I'm gonna use. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a nice big bow. So this line goes there. All right, so let's add this. I'm gonna start from here and add something like that, a line or a bow, I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna add one more on the other side. Okay, I just like to go once. It's okay if it's too thin, that's okay. If it's too thick, it's okay. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do a little circling thing right here in the center. I don't know what's going on there, but something is going on right here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add a two ribbon coming out of this area, and done. That's all I'm gonna do. Okay, so I don't think so you can see any difference between the Sharpie and the brush. I mean, you cannot tell big difference here. So if you like to use a Sharpie, go for it. Okay, and I'm gonna also add a little bit of white in the center because I feel like it's too dark. So I'm gonna clean my brush, and then I'm just gonna grab my tiny white paint, and then I'm just gonna add a little line in the center. So yeah, something like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a fun part, which is adding some leaves, some colorful leaves, I want to say. Okay, so now I'm gonna be using these colors, these 4 colors: yellow, red, green, and orange. You can use different colors if you would like to, maybe a magenta or I don't know. You can use any color. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the orange because that's my favorite color for the falls. Okay, so here I'm gonna take some. Okay, so let me show you again how I make those how I'm gonna make those leaves. So I'm gonna take some orange or any other color. Okay, and then it's a very super simple shape of all the leaves is something like this, right? This is the leaf. It's like a straight leaves facing this way, right? You can also add some leaves that are facing the other way. So yeah, something like this, just like that. It's all over I'm sorry. Okay, so here, like I'm talking about like different kind of a shape of all the leaves. All right, so yeah, so let's start doing that on your branches. So again, I'm taking a little bit of orange, starting with the nice small leaves. I'm not making too big, just I'm gonna make some of them are bigger and most of them are like very small size. You can touch your branches, or if you don't, that's okay. Not all of the leaves are touching these days in fall, right? I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, it's falling down, right? So that's why I'm saying. Okay. Don't forget to leave some space for different color leaves. Start with the very last leaves and see if you like to add more. It's a good idea to do it that way. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to my next color, which is red. Wow, I love this color. I'm gonna use some yellow. Make sure you are, whenever you are using yellow, clean your brushes. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep adding more and more leaves here. I mean, I don't really see my yellow here, so what I'm gonna do is make a lighter yellow. I mean, sorry, darker yellow. So here I'm gonna take a little bit of orange, maybe more yellow, and some orange. Mix it all together. Okay, so this is the color I'm gonna be using. Let's see if this is popping up or not. Yes, it does, and I like it. Okay, I'm gonna add one more color here, which is green. Adding green is very optional. I just feel like I wanna add some green here. Maybe I'll add more red and orange later, but I really wanna add some green. Not too many leaves, but just some. Okay, that's all. I'm gonna add green here. I'm gonna add more red and more orange. So let's do that. So this time I'm not gonna add like this kind of a shape. I'm just gonna add like very random shape here. So something like this, just adding like a little dashes. So yeah, something like that. I know it's a very random, so see how it turned out first and see if you like it or not, and then you can do it. But before that, I have some leaves falling down on this side too, so I'm also gonna add like some of my leaves on this area. Okay, I'm gonna add orange, same way. for me it's very hard to stop. So if you're like me, you don't know when to stop, right? It's very hard for me to stop. I'm just gonna keep adding more and more here. I know I'm gonna add like whole bunch of leaves here. I know I said I'm not gonna add too many, but I am gonna add too many here, which is okay. This is all for fun, right? You having fun painting? If you do, that's all it's about. All right, so now I talk about adding random strokes, right? So let's do that. So I'm gonna start with this same kind of a darker yellow, lighter orange. So just gonna like very random dots like that. Do you see what I'm talking about now? Like very random dots, lines, dashes, whatever you want to call. Leave some space for different color. Right? Okay, I'm gonna add one more right here, I guess, because I have some like little dots there, which I don't like. Okay, I'm gonna add different colors, orange, again, very random. Alright, I'm here, like I'm done here. I think I'm done here. Okay, so now I'm gonna add anything like right here. Okay, I'm gonna add my letter, my name letter here. Okay, I'm gonna be using my brush. You can also use a Sharpie if your heart is nice and dry. Mine is not dry, so I'm just gonna use brush, and I'm gonna add my name letter here and my husband's name later. Okay, so let's see. You can do it a little fancier if you like to. I cannot write it in a cursive writing, but if you can, try that. Heart inside a heart. Okay, I like this. Okay, so let me know what you think about this painting. I hope you guys enjoyed painting with me. If you did, and I really wanted to make any like other different colorful painting because my all of the painting are so colorful, and I love making all the colorful paintings. So again, let me know what do you think about this painting. I hope you guys enjoyed painting. If you have any question about the colors I'm using, brushes I'm using, just let me know in a comment and I will get back to you. And if you have any other ideas you want me to try, you want me to do something new, I love to try new things. So you can also reach me on my Instagram account. I put the link down below of my Instagram account, and I'm also in TikTok. I'm also in Facebook. I don't use a lot of Facebook nowadays, but I actually am on I also have a new website that I just made it, so check out my new website. I am gonna put the link down below of my new website. I just launched it beginning of this month, so check out my new website. You will find so many new different stuff there. If you are also in like a painting kit, I also have some different kind of a painting kit for everybody. You can check those out. And again, I hope you guys enjoy painting with me, and I will see you next time for another step-by-step painting or maybe a DIY. All right, thank you so much. Bye.